You are listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast. I'm your host, Brandy Williams. Happy September. Happy eclipse season. Happy 6 days of noticing. This is going to be a pretty intense dynamic week. So, this is your official invitation to 6 days of noticing. Noticing all the things, if you will accept where the cosmos are asking us to slow down as we potentially come in contact with some very heavy and dynamic energy. Can we ride the waves? Can we stay present? Uh, and just can we just let it flow this week? So we'll just jump right into the astrology. Monday, September 1st at about 4:05 a.m. Saturn retrograde enters the sign of Pisces. So that happened this morning, where Saturn appears to be traveling backwards until November, going back into the sign of Pisces to wrap something up, to fix something, to end something. And this is a pregame to the eclipse that's happening on Sunday that we'll talk about in a few minutes, because Saturn is going into Pisces and the North Node is in Pisces working with this eclipse. So there's something connected here. Saturn went into Aries May 24th, and that is where Saturn initiated some type of rebirth for us. So some of us started new things, we ended new things. We started to pursue something different or something new. And now that we have our footing in this new thing, Saturn wants to take us back into the sign of Pisces to clip something off, end something, to close something out, so that we may proceed, but we can't proceed until we do that thing. So there could be something that we need to address. And if you work with your chart or not, it's all good. But notice where you're feeling like something is ending, something needs to change. You're at the end of the rope about something. Maybe it's a grudge, it's a habit, an old story, an outdated story or mindset. Maybe it's lack of boundaries or disrespect. You just want to stay present this week, because when we get into the Pisces energies, we tend to escape and get into our buffering habits. So notice if that's happening and coax the mind to come back and stay in something that could feel uncomfortable. I know the energy is going to be heavy for a lot of people, but we want to stay in something so that we could see what is changing in our lives, so we can see what needs to be released, revised, or what needs boundaries, what needs a container. There's something that needs more structure. And this is where we are going to get that information this week if we accept the invitation to notice. I'm going to say notice a lot just because this is what we need to do this week. No action, just notice, even though that might be hard. So there's something this week that can feel grief stricken, sad. There's something that we feel like we have to part ways with. Perhaps some of us, this is not for everybody. Take what resonates and leave the rest. But something could feel like a death, because many of us are going through this huge ego death, this rebirth, this transformation, and we die many times before we actually leave our lives. So, this is another invitation to be very gentle with yourselves and be very patient with yourselves and other people, because everybody is going through some type of shift this week. So, Tuesday, September 2nd, at about 9 o'clock in the morning, Mercury is going to leave the sign of Leo and enter into Virgo. This is one of Mercury's domiciles. This is also where Mercury does very well. And so Mercury signifies communication, technology, and learning, business transactions, short distance travel, transportation, siblings, peers, stuff like that. So Mercury being in Virgo is joining in on this eclipse energy, because the South Node is in Virgo and Mercury is going to be pretty close to the Sun in the South Node when we have that eclipse. And he's also ruling um, the South Node and the Sun. So Mercury is in his grown man, grown woman energy when he is in the sign of Virgo, and he brings us clarity of what things we are ready to release, what things we need to release, what things need to be revised or changed or edited, what practical steps we need to take on something. This is going to have us thinking about Virgo types of things like practicality in our daily routines and our checklists. Perhaps we are decluttering and reorganizing certain spaces in our homes or, our offices. And we are updating our schedules and hopefully getting into some gentle movement because the mind has so many thoughts when it's in the sign of Virgo. And so if you're not moving that energy out, you can tend to spiral in anxiety. So notice if you are staying still in your head, learning, doing things in the mind, and not moving the body, and how that's starting to affect your nervous system. And speaking of anxiety, Wednesday, September 3rd, Mercury in Virgo is going to square Uranus in Gemini. So this is the rational, everyday mind in a standoff with the higher mind, or this is our mind and the things we think about making a contact with our nervous system. So when we see Mercury square Uranus, we can hear of sudden shocking information in the news, something that feels destabilizing in our own personal lives, revelations in our own personal lives. These could be anxiety inducing realizations or conversations, but also there could be aha moments and creative sparks, creative inspirations or downloads, conversations with people that lead us to innovative ideas. Ideas could just be swirling all around us. We could just have all of these different ideas and we want to write them all down. But this is not a week that we want to execute new things because it's an eclipse week. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. But write the ideas down, capture them, plan, think about them, but don't execute. We just want to really be open and adaptable to the thoughts and opinions of others. Sometimes what happens is that we kind of get stuck in our own mindsets and our own thoughts, and then there is a eccentric idea or somebody who thinks a little bit outside the box that might challenge the things that you're thinking about. And this is just the opportunity to notice if that makes you feel a certain type of way or how attached you are to your own thoughts and beliefs and ideas. Sometimes the Virgo mind can get caught in these thought loops and assumptions that could keep us in this box or that could keep us in a very skewed version of the truth or what they think something is or what we think something is. So we want to, adopt a more open and curious mindset about something, entertain different thoughts, different ideas, different opinions. Let something be profound. This is, an opportunity to step outside of your box and entertain some very genius ideas. Also, this can be sudden, explosive, and destabilizing conversations, that it could be just a regular conversation that before you know it, it kind of combusts and turns into something else. Like I said, there could be shocking headlines and attention between needing to know all the steps and winging something or just try something a little bit. Stay open and curious about learning new techniques and new subjects and just taking different points of views. We want to stay open and just let something be easy and not take ourselves too seriously this week because there's a lot of energy hovering. So also this week, Jupiter is going to trine the North Node. Just really quick, this is a week that you may want to cry. And if you're not a crier like I am, this is a good time to let yourself cry and hug yourself and be your own mommy or be your own daddy this week. Some of us are dealing with some really, really heavy things. We might hear something heavy. And this is our invitation to be in our awareness and present moment without escaping and just feeling what we need to feel and let that wash over us and through us and really tap into being there for ourselves emotionally. Just let something flow. By September 4th, the moon is going to be conjunct to Pluto. Pluto is going out of bounds, straying away from the path of the sun. Pluto is ready to stop following rules of the oppressor. So, this can feel really intense for relationships. People who are reclaiming their power, who are setting boundaries, no longer coloring in the lines of what other people want from them. And this could incite some emotional hostility, especially in people who are used to having their ways with other people. On the world stage, this could be bringing up some type of crisis or intensity, some situation where people are going to maybe want to protest or have a voice or speak out when they don't usually do that. The people are no longer believing certain lies and Maybe this is a week where people are going to feel called to challenge a disturbing decision made by the abuses of power in high places. So that's just something to look out for. Also, September 4th, Thursday, Mars in Libra is going to square Jupiter in Cancer. This is another point of tension. This is a triggering of the ego. Mars is about asserting the self, standing up for the self. Jupiter is about seeing the bigger picture and expanding whatever it's touching. So this can be big conflict, big ego tensions. We can see conflicts on the world stage and personally. This could be a conversation where you feel pushed to defend yourself. You feel your ego flare up. You feel like you need to establish a boundary. This could also be conflicts between two parts of life. This could happen with family members because it's in Cancer, property, relationships, things like that, things about the past. This could happen between friends and business partners because this is also Mars in Libra. Somebody wants diplomacy, another person just wants to expand. And, this could just be a very tense situation. This could also be just us wanting to do too much and push ourselves too much, and we want more and more and more of something, and it's causing attention in another part of life. And so this could also just be a person wanting somebody to do something and the other person doesn't want to do it. And this might be the week that you say no. So we want to notice what happens when we say no this week, or if we say no this week. Notice what happens and rises up if someone says no to us. Do we feel a swell in the ego? How did we handle something in the past? Jupiter in Cancer is going to be associated with things of the past and nostalgia and family dynamics. How did you handle something in the past? And is that the way you think you should handle it now? Or can we think something through? It maybe you popped off in the past and you went off and you reacted before you thought. Can you think something through? Can you think it through and pause before you respond or react to something? Another thing with this transit is we want to watch out for pompous, arrogant, self righteous behavior, feelings of entitlement. We want to remember that everyone is feeling something this week. Maybe it's a lot of happy, maybe it's not a lot of happy, but it's a lot of something, and a lot of anything in the nervous system can bring anxiety and a trigger happiness in people to want to react because a lot of us could be on edge. So we just want to notice the triggers, not take things personally, take the time to deliberate something versus taking action this week. So by Saturday, September 6th, early in the morning, Uranus is going to station retrograde. It also will appear to be going backwards in the sky. More conversations, more ideas, more anxiety, maybe for some of us. For some of us, it's just excitement. It's not anxiety, it's amazing. A lot of us could be in new communities, learning new subjects. This is more shocking information and headlines in the news. There can be shockwaves in the collective. Something can be disruptive. There could be issues with air travel, certain networks, especially online networks. The energy grid can be doing something strange with this because this is all about communication and electricity with Uranus. There can be disruption in employment due to AI stuff. There could be some people going back to work because AI ain't what it was supposed to be in a certain sector and not doing what they thought it was going to do. So we just want to stay open to downloads, messages, dreams, eye opening information, can be a thing. Stay open to what is coming down the pipeline. Don't buffer. There's some amazing things on the horizon for us. We're all being guided in one way or another out of our comfort zones, being liberated from other people's oppression or dictatorship or control so that we can be on our own path. And yeah, just following our North Star, shaking us out of our comfort zone so we can get on the timelines that we're meant to be on. So, because I record the podcast on Mondays, I want to talk about the lunar eclipse that's happening on Sunday, September 7th, around 2 o'clock p.m. September 7th. We're going to have a total lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces, smack dab in the middle of the Pisces energy at 15 degrees and 22 minutes. This is a full moon that is charged up even more. Full moon with some sauce on it. Full moon with a little seasoning on it, a little hot sauce on it. Because eclipses are lunations that are in relationship to the nodes of the moon. And if you've been here a while, you have heard me talking about the south node and the north node, how we are releasing perfection and control with the south node in Virgo and surrendering and trusting the process with the north node in Pisces. And for this for this eclipse, we will have the sun, Mercury, and south node in the sign of Virgo, and then the moon across the pond with the north node in the sign of Pisces, co-present with Saturn, who kind of kicked us off with a little noticing of what needs to change this week. So this lunation is very powerful. There's going to be massive energy in the cosmos this week. We already feel it. I'm pretty sure people are experiencing this in multiple different ways. There is massive energy in the cosmos this week that we can probably already feel. This is going to be major sheddings, major endings and beginnings for a lot of people. We will experience people, situations, circumstances being eclipsed in and out of our lives. Eclipse energy can be felt for about 6 months, sometimes even longer. Everybody's going to feel something, have some type of pull or effect with the eclipse. And with lunar eclipses, we are realizing something, and there are revelations and releases. We're letting things go. We're releasing old mindsets, releasing perfectionism, past programming, walking into something new and trusting the process, letting go of criticism, self sacrifice, people pleasing, addictions, escaping, hiding under our buffers. There's just something that we can't do anymore. Some place in life that we've been overworking, overspending, sacrificing our self respect and our self worth. There is some place that we have been operating with no boundaries, and the soul is over it. Even if the mind is still attached, that's why we could be experiencing just like unexplained grief or sadness or just anxiety. The soul is like, I'm done. The mind is still attached, the ego is still attached. So that is always the last thing to kind of separate from something that is no longer working for us. But something is done. And the North Node is calling us forward. This is our fated path and our destiny of something that is uncomfortable and that's scary and that's outside of the box and outside of the norm that is calling us to step up and to get our shit together in a certain way. So we are welcoming something new as well as releasing something that is more aligned for us and that's better, something that we don't understand yet, but soon we'll realize why something else had to go and why it had to happen the way it happened. And eclipses are wild card energy because no one experiences eclipses the same. For some of us, this is a painful, grief stricken loss, a separation that is very hard. For some of us, it's bittersweet and cathartic. It's like, man, I'm gonna really miss them cookies. I'm gonna really miss that wine, but I gotta let it go. You know, maybe we're parting with a certain habit or it's a breakup, right? It's a cathartic, bittersweet release. And for some of us, this shit is the bomb. It's absolutely liberating. It's exhilarating. We are free. We are unshackled from the chains of oppression in a certain job or relationship. We out of this thing. And so it's gonna be experienced in many different ways. Some of us have a little touch of all of it. You know, we got a little flight of emotions going on this week. And it's a really good time to go within on Sunday. It's a good time to have a real rest day and to do little to nothing and to be with the self, be with the thoughts, to not escape, not buffer. Notice the energies that come up. Get into some type of creative outlet where your emotions can flow through a different medium. So maybe this is you pulling out the paints again and the crochet, or just something that, you could be present, but also have a certain outlet. And for some of us, we're just journaling. And we're just noticing this is a great week to journal. I'm not a big journaler because for some reason journaling gives me more anxiety. I just pull my cards and I have a spreadsheet that I type my stuff in, but you can audio journal, but really be there for yourself and be gentle with yourself and understand that everybody is dealing with something heavy this week and in a completely different way. So we don't want to take things too seriously this week. We don't want to get in unnecessary conflicts, and some of us still will because it's just the human nature. It's our way. We're all unlearning and we're all trying to protect ourselves. So I understand, but if you could just pause because you got the tips and the drop on the transits this week. You already know the vibes. If you could just pause and be like, I don't have to respond to any of that right now. That would be great. Just notice you're on a 6 day notice. Uh, yeah, the South Node is asking us to let go of something that no longer fits. And it might be hard, but it can't go with us. It can't be a part of the new structure, the new sense of self. So, some things to journal on if you are a journaler is just to notice what comes up when you are in all of these energies this week. Notice the run ins you've had, notice what your ego wanted to do and how it felt. Notice what no longer was no longer working, what no longer meets your standards, what you feel overly critical about, what you feel stressed about, what you feel worried about. Notice what's robbing you of the present moment and stealing your joy. And how can you enjoy the sweetness of life and how you are already doing something amazing and you've done so many amazing things. So that's all I have for this week. I just want to let you know I love you. I hope you are able to be a safe space for yourself. Give yourself a lot of hugs, cry, and all the feels. If you want to reach me, I will leave my email in the show notes. And I will talk to you next week and be well, everyone. Bye. You are listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast.